Welcome back to Craftardia and yet another base building project. This time we will be building a prison on Spectacle Island. This is the biggest settlement area in the game and my PC almost burned down near the end of the initial design. If you have a shitty computer, please do not try to do this. Since this island has this little port area with two buildings, I decided to fix this area first. This will be the first stage of the island prison building. I already placed a few of these floors because there was no point recording an hour of extremely delicate fuckery with the floor alignment. My goal was to somewhat level this area with the floors while also cover the rubble that is visible on the edge of the house. I managed to do this and then connected more floors on the side of the house. This also covered quite a bit of rubble and it actually fit right next to the house wall. Since I didn't really want to expand further with the floors, I added the fence all around it and placed a few stairs on the edge that was facing the other building because I wanted them to be connected so you can move back and forth from both areas nicely. I wasn't sure was adding more floors a good idea in the front, so I just added the stairs as well. This platform was completed and I think it's very nice. Now I went in the back of the house, the side that faces the sea. I wanted to add a platform here as well because it just looked shitty. I carefully aligned the floor block to be parallel to the porch of the house, and to my surprise it wasn't difficult. For once something in this fucking game was simple and it looked... Oh wait, nope, it was too close because I couldn't add more floors. So I deleted them and moved the first floor a bit to the right, and now I was able to create a few straight floors over the rocks. This rock however fucked up my plans and slightly irritated me, but it wasn't a big problem since I already had quite a bit of space on this platform. I started adding the fence along the edge, and when I came close to the end I noticed that the port was kinda right under the platform, so I figured why not connect them together with some stairs. I placed the stairs that connected to the port ground, and then snapped the floor onto them and snapped small stairs to the upper platform that conveniently also snapped into the lower floor. I couldn't believe that it worked, but I think that this game does this on purpose. First it fucks you, then it gives you something nice, and then it fucks you again. You keep building things because you hope that the game will give you more nice things despite it fucking you every now and again. But it's fine. After fencing the area I went back up because I knew that I didn't finish the platform. I added a few small floors to fill in the area and I added stairs that led down to the ground. This house was now completed and I was satisfied with both platforms and the connection to the port. Now it was time to create the platform that would connect the entire prison design together. As you can see, I already placed two blocks right next to the existing building. This also took about 30 minutes to align, but once this was done, connecting more floors to it was relatively simple. I added a shit ton of floors so there's enough space for whatever it is that I plan to put here. Keep in mind that everything I did was an idea that was developing in my mind. I didn't really know exactly what I wanted to do. After finishing the platform, I started adding a path towards the middle of the island. I put a lot of floors that went directly towards this little shack. I wanted to make the shack be some sort of a checkpoint. I noticed that my platform was hovering in the air, and that annoyed me, but what annoyed me even more was the fucking floor that kept snapping into the platform instead of going under it, so I could nicely put some supports. It didn't work, so I deleted all of it. Then I added more floors and connected stairs that went down to them. I wanted to make sure that my platform wasn't hovering in mid-air. I added a bunch of normal floors so the path towards the shack can be completed, and it sort of looked okay. I went all the way back checking out what I did so far and noticed that the port area didn't really have a proper entrance path. Placing this particular path was very annoying because snapping yet again didn't want to work properly, but I did manage to snap the stairs to the floor and then simply did it again one level higher. Once the floors were in line with the platform that I created for the house, I added more stairs on the other side since it was a bit too high. It would have been better to make these floors a bit lower, but as we all know, this game is an ugly bastard more often than not. This ends the first stage of the island prison building. We made sure the port and housing area is nicely platformed and staired. The back side of the house has a nice platform for barbecue and enjoying the view. The further we go into the island, we have a nice large platform that connects the path that leads towards the shack that will be used as a checkpoint, even though I don't really know what that means. The second stage is building the first watchtower. I wanted this first watchtower to be a bit larger than others, since it is the closest one to the buildings and the guards here don't really have to be as alert as in the rest of them. I added a few floors to the existing large platform and placed the stairs floor in the middle. Of course, in order to properly place the stairs floor, I had to fuck around for about 20 minutes with floor placements, because I didn't want it to hover in the air, and placing a foundation under it wasn't working out for me. I did manage to do it, and I added 2 levels of floors and then added these wall and roof things that extended onto the sides of the platform. I think these walls are pretty much perfect for the design that I wanted. I also added the roof that made the top floor look very nice. I really like how the small holes in the roof add a bit of atmosphere to the area. Hopefully the guards won't start fucking each other because of it. The watchtower has been completed, and yes, I am aware that it is mostly hovering regardless of my attempts to not make it so, but it is what it is. It looks quite decent. The third stage starts by creating the foundation of the prison itself. I wanted to make the prison in this lower area so the watchtowers can have a clear view into it and around it. After placing a few floors, I came to the part where I needed to elevate them because the ground was too high. I placed stairs that snapped into the floor and connected a new, elevated floor to those stairs. At this point I realized that when I snapped the floor to the stairs that are also snapped to the floor under them, the actual distance between the upper and lower floor is exactly 1 block, so I added a whole line of floors and deleted the stairs and placed the floor instead of it. Now, without much effort, I actually had 2 levels of floors pretty much seamlessly connected. This made me incredibly happy and I felt like I could do anything with my life. But for now, I just continued adding more floors to the prison foundation, and when I got to the point where I didn't want any more floors, I created a floor path that nicely led all the way to the shack area. I liked the look of these floors, so I floored the entire area around the shack, and actually deleted the path that I created in the first stage. I finished flooring the entire path in a circle, and it fit perfectly on the other side. The game started feeling very nice, but I knew that it would fuck me over sooner or later. Since I noticed the wrecked ship containers, I wanted to make another path connecting the prison layout to them. After placing a bunch of floors and stairs, I actually managed to fit it perfectly again. At this point I was pretty sure that someone was fucking with me, but I had no way of checking if that was the case. So I embraced the perfection that the game offered and shoved it deep into my mind. Yes, my mind, so it is safe. I went back to the area that I deleted because I needed to connect the 2 sections together. Unfortunately, the angle of the floors wasn't very suitable for a nice connection. This is where the perfection that I stored in my mind came leaking out of my ass. I don't know how it got to my ass, but that is where it came from, and despite all of my efforts to nicely connect these floors, I simply wasn't able to do it. My mood went back to being irritated, but the connection was there. It wasn't perfect and it wasn't even nice, but at least it existed. That does it for the third stage of the island prison. We now have the main prison foundation that is connected to the checkpoint that is also connected to a nicely placed path that leads down to the ship containers. In the next stage we will add walls and roofs to the prison foundation. It is time to give some ass to this prison. It is very skinny currently. First step was to place a door here before the path towards the prison area started. After placing the door, I went and placed the wall all around the upper foundation. This corner area here fucked me a bit, but I realized that I was placing the wrong type of the wall, that simply didn't fit when placing it on the edge, which is a really stupid fucking design decision. Why would you add a wall that can't be placed in a corner, but instead you need to use a different type of the wall to do it? I don't understand that. Was it that difficult to put a little collision lenience? Was it? Lenience, please, I beg of you. I managed to finish connecting the walls to the upper floor area and then added yet another door before the main prison area. This way there are 2 doors that serve as some sort of a filter, and I think it adds a bit of safety. I also added the roof, which made the entire tunnel look very cool. I went down and started adding walls to this area. I wanted to leave this section opened. It can be a yard of some sort for the prisoners. Going back up, I decided to add another level to the residential area of the prison. That's what we're calling it now, residential area. This second level has the normal floor, of course, but I decided to add metal walls to it, to spice things up a bit. I added these metal walls to the edges, and once I got to this area, I couldn't really place a floor because of the door wall that was sticking out, and I didn't really know what to do here. But then I had a brilliant idea. This was probably the most brilliant fucking idea I had in the last 38 years of my life, and I'm only 22. I placed a rug. Yeah, I placed a rug over the gap. If it fucking works, man. I placed the metal roof and I didn't really want to go up another level. It feels like there is enough space for a lot of prisoners with these 2 levels and with the yard, because the weak prisoners will probably end up sleeping in the yard, since prison life is tough, especially in the post-apocalypse. If normal settlement residents are willing to put sticks up their butts, then I don't want to know what are prisoners capable of doing. This completes the 4th stage, the stage in which we built the main prison area. Fucking rugs, man. Now it is time to expand to the empty area of the island. This new area will have the super max torture chamber of deadly murder, but first we need to build the path. After a bit of stairs and floor dickery, I managed to place a path that went right by the building in which you can find the workshop. Keep in mind that dickery is a bit less annoying type of fuckery. Since I placed these little stairs too close to the edge of the floor, I wasn't able to add the fence on this edge, so I decided to simply add a nice floating pier right here. Ignore the Covenant wall that you can see on the ground. I plan to use it as a wall around the entire prison, but I can't do that because the fucking shit isn't snapping, so I can't bother with it. At least not for now. After finishing the floating pier, I continued placing the path towards the Supermax torture chamber of deadly murder. The ground was very steep in this area and I added a pair of double stairs leading down to the ground. It kinda fit, I wasn't annoyed by it, so it was immediately a success. I placed the platform for the Supermax torture chamber of deadly murder and I started placing the walls, but it didn't feel right. I wanted to leave one block of floors on the outer area, sort of like a patrolling path, so after some slight dickery with the snapping of the metal walls to the floors, everything looked quite decent. I placed metal roofs inside and the entire metal room was completed. On the edges of the patrolling path I placed the same type of walls that I placed on the watchtower, but these don't have windows, they're completely covered since this is a very secure area. I was able to nicely place most of them, but then I encountered a problem at the stairs. I couldn't really place the wall in the corner right next to the stairs, because the game's tolerance for clipping is minus 29 kilometers. I placed these shitty walls since I couldn't do anything else. I noticed that I didn't have roofs above the patrolling path, so I went ahead and added them. I couldn't add the roof in the area with the door, so I deleted the wall next to it and added another door there. This way it kinda looks better, I think. I mean, it still looks like shit, but I'm doing my best here, man. So let's say a murderer gets transferred into the Supermax torture chamber of deadly murder. He can easily just jump off the stairs and run for his murderous life. So the plan was to place foundations around the stairs and place walls on them, so jumping over would become impossible. Doing this brought a lot of irritation to my soul and I wanted to spawn a raider and chop off his left arm and then beat him with it to death. Once that was done, I placed walls around the path that led up to this area, since just a fence would make it look way too casual. As I was inspecting the outer walls that attempted to secure the stairs passage, I suddenly knew what I wanted to do. I started extending the foundations around the Supermax torture chamber of deadly murder until the circle was completed. Afterwards I went up to that foundation that is technically now a floor outside of the main area and placed walls that would completely hide everything and make it secure as fuck. The design of the Supermax torture chamber of deadly murder was completed and I plan to improve it even further. I just needed a bit of a break because thinking too much about murder makes me want to do unsafe things. Upon returning to the island, I went ahead and extended a path to the left of the path that was leading towards the Supermax torture chamber of deadly murder. This is going to be a new watchtower. This time I wanted to make it even on all floors, so I made it 3 blocks wide and long, with the fact that the block in the middle would be a stair floor. The second level has 9 blocks as well, and another stair floor that leads to a new level. This third level has yet another stair floor, while the fourth is the final one and has these walls the same as the first watchtower. The process is pretty straightforward and it is relatively easy to make a good floating watchtower. As you can see, the first level has walls, while the second and third levels have fences, because that's how I like it. Do you see this shit? When you use mods, you can actually place a vertibird as a static object in your settlement. I started thinking about how exactly will the murderers get transferred to the Supermax torture chamber of deadly murder. Well, the best way would be with the vertibird. They just drop the fuckers down and that's it. So I wanted to add some stairs leading up above the roof of the Supermax torture chamber of deadly murder. I deleted the floor and snapped stairs into the area and then added small floors to cover the area again. Then I added a bunch of floors above the roof. This is the best practice because this creates another layer of barriers. The main room will be a deadly place full of screaming, so the more layers of security the better. I placed the fence and added the vertibird onto the platform. Shit's too big though, so I removed it and added another level of floors. Placing the vertibird on this platform made a bit more sense now, but the problem was that this platform was above the extra wall that I created, and if I added walls to this platform, it would be too small for the vertibird. The only logical thing to do here was to add walls to the other side of the outer platform. This way the Supermax torture chamber of deadly murder has another layer of security that can't possibly be penetrated by the murderers. So since this area was done, I went back up to the path and noticed that it lacks a proper door. So after a bit of dickery I managed to place a small floor in the middle of the path and snapped a door onto it. I also added roofs to this area to make it look like a tunnel. The only area that I couldn't cover is this shit here, right after the door wall. Don't worry though, I'll put a rug here. I completed the Supermax Torture Chamber of Deadly Murder design and I think it is beautiful. It greatly reminds me of Deathclaws. It looks terrifyingly ugly and it's strong. It won't fuck you up if you come close, but that is because the defense mechanisms will be added in the next video. The final stage of the island prison design contains the creation of the last 2 watchtowers. The third watchtower is located on the opposite side of the second one and it has 1 less level. It was important to place all watchtowers in places where they can all see each other very clearly. In case guards in one tower decide to have inappropriate relations, others can see and stop them, or they can start doing it themselves. It's a tricky system, but I believe that my guards will behave nicely. The final watchtower is located between the first one and the ship containers. It is the same size as the second watchtower and the ground level floor is connected to both the containers path and the main path. That is it, the design has been completely completed. The port area has 2 paths, one leading towards the middle of the 2 buildings and one leading towards the back platform of the house. The other building has a large platform that connects to the main path of the prison, which is then connected to a watchtower. The checkpoint area is divided into 4 ways: the main path, the containers path, the prison, and the Supermax Torture Chamber of Deadly Murder path. A floating pier is decorating this area as well as 2 watchtowers on either side. The Supermax Torture Chamber of Deadly Murder has several layers of walls and a vertibird on the roof that brings new murderers. The next part of the island prison base building will contain the design of all interiors, water, food, electricity, defenses, and probable improvements to the overall design. I hope my PC won't burn to death because this settlement is already pushing it, so I assume that adding more objects will just make things worse. Let's hope for the best. Thanks for watching and I hope you enjoyed. This shit took forever to make. I have been Petard, your glorious lord, and I shall see you next time.